Hello, welcome to our social science class. So today we are going to start a new lesson. Subject is economics, class 10th, CBSE syllabus. So economics today already two classes we have already taken from the lesson history first lesson. Today it's different one. The first lesson it is about development. Development is the topic. So development everybody it's very familiar, the word is very familiar, but development, what is development, that is very important. This lesson we are going to discuss, cover all aspects of all aspects that is concerned, it concerns development. So development today it's very important subject, but look at the topic, the word development. Development may vary from person to person, and it may vary from region to region, it country to country, it is varying, it is different. Maybe suppose for me it is if I am saying that I am a vegetarian, so the food that I am eating is vegetarian, so for me the developing means that is my development. Some people say that okay, I am non-vegetarian, that is my development. The concept I that development, that what I understand about development, that is, some people say that no, it is every day I live without food, only on water and air I can live, that is development. It's a personalized concept, means a person, it is a personal opinion regarding the development. Look at some, if you look at our country, we can say development. People think that development means if you have money, if you have wealth, then we are developed. Many people, yes, it's okay. But if you have money, if you are a wealthy person, you have all the facilities, then you are developed. But some people say that you have money, you have wealth, you have balance, you have vehicles, land, bungalow, all this you have. You think you are developed, but when you look at your surroundings, when we look at your education, when we look at your health, you are very unhealthy. Although you have money, you are not educated. That means, but I am educated, I am healthy, but I have less money. So as far as I am concerned, development means that healthy, educated lifestyle. So poor, that is it. Some other people say that no, you okay, you are educated, you are healthy, therefore you are developed. But what what is the benefit? What is the use of development? What is the use of money and health and education if you are surrounded by a polluted environment? So nowadays it is also important. Development means some people think that if you are living, you have money, but you are living in an area, the environment there is fully polluted. So that is not development. So people think that for some people, very highly healthy environment, natural and non-polluted, without pollution, a good environment is also factor for development. So in this way, the concept, the term development that people understand is varying from person to person, from country to country, from region to region. The concept is development, the term is same, but the way people understand that is different. Then how will you understand? How can we understand here? We are going to discuss what's the topic development. What people have a number of understanding level of about development. So how will you understand? How we will compare between, how will compare various countries, how much they develop, how they were developed they are, how much they are developed, how we will understand? Can we go with all these criteria? We cannot go. So we need a common indicators, a common measures, common scale, so that we can understand as. So common indicators are very important. Common measures are very important so that we can use scale. A scale must be there so that we can measure the development of a country, a nation, an area, a region. That's where. So some in this lesson, that's very important aspects. We are going to discuss and using various concepts, various indicators, we are going to compare countries and continents and even between states, how developed they are. So therefore, we need to discuss some indicators. First of all, indicators are very important. As I said, that for you, it may be income. Income is an indicator. If you are more income, you are developed. That is one indicator. Some other people, not just income, they may think that healthy environment, health is very important. Education is very important. That is also an indicator. From some others, it may be the healthy environment. For some others may be good law and order, without crime, without murder, without rape, good government, good governance, good administration, good road, better road, electricity, 24 into 7 electricity supply, electricity connection, if I have internet connection, 4G and 5G connection, all the for different persons, different countries, the level of understanding about development is varying. That's a very, this as an introduction I want to tell you. So some of the, this is an introductory part to the lesson. Before we go to the lesson in detail, we need to understand some of the important terms that we are going to discuss in this lesson. But some of the important lesson. So this chapter, in this lesson, we are going to, as a student, not in detail, but some important terms. While we are going through this lesson, we need to know, we need to discuss that important terms today. I will discuss with you. That look at this one. First one, it is a per capita income. Per capita income is used widely across the world to measure economic development. So not some we cannot say that. You look at India, we have more than 130 crores people. We cannot go and ask each and every person about their average income, their what is your income, so that we can calculate a whole total income and measure our economic development. We do that through census and other enumeration and even um, planning commission, their surveys there, sample surveys there, all these surveys, economic surveys under the government of India, they also conduct various surveys to measure per capita income. But we can't go each and every citizen to take the information, collect information about their income. So that we use a method. We use a method that is a per capita income. Per capita is very simple. We take average of person income per person. How we will measure that? We can measure, take a total income of a country and divide by population. It will be divided by population. Total income, national income, our GDP, our national income. National income in a year, the value of all goods and services produced within our country. A total value will be calculated. That value will be divided by total population. What the result we get? That result is a per capita income. Now, two ways we can use that. Two ways. In two ways, it is measured. We use nominally we use exchange rate. Exchange rate we use to consider dollar is now one per dollar. Against dollar, we always calculate per capita income using dollar as a measuring currency. That currency is used to measure economic development per capita income. So when you suppose our $1 cost for us it is 70 rupees. Suppose then we can calculate our you have um, $10, then $10 into 70, you can calculate $10 multiplied by 70, we will get our per capita income. In that way, that is exchange rate. But exchange rate does not show the real picture. Exchange rate always fluctuating, changing every moment to moment, day to day basis, it is getting fluctuated. That is, therefore, World Bank use another term, that is PPP, purchasing power parity. That is also used to measure per capita income. All this we'll discuss in detail. Only one per capita income you should remember, that is a average income per person in a year. That also how it is calculated, that also we discussed. Next one, it is a literacy rate. Literacy rate, it's very important. So it's also used to measure development. If our all population are illiterate, then the country is not developed. Therefore, literacy rate is very important. What is that? Total number of people who can read and write. Different age group also we can measure that. Total number of people in a country who can read and write. Different age group also, like example, adult, young population, children, old population. In old population, and how many people are able to read and write, that number we will be calculated. So that is the literacy rate. So as on today, in 2020, that latest latest estimate is that India's literacy rate is 77.7%. That means if you take 100, out of 100, we have 78% are literate. 78% out of 100, very 100% in India can read and write. So this also an indicator, important measuring broad scale indicator to measure our economic development. Another, life expectancy. Life expectancy is very important. Life expectancy, you think how many years you will die, sorry, how many years you will live up from your birth. From your birth on, how many years you are supposed to live up. We have, take in a region, an area, a country, a group of population, we will observe that normally on average how many years these people from that particular population group are supposed to live up. So we can measure in during the period of freedom struggle, that time maybe 50, 70 years back, we had maybe 37, 40 years on average per person lived up in India. That's most of the people. Many people lived more than that, but most of the people lived up to only maybe 40 or 45, 37 years. Many reasons are there for that, why that premature death, it is why it is happening. So now, due to various progresses in health, education, and other areas, our life expectancy improved, and now it is we have 69.73 years. On an average, per person in India can is living up to 70 years. That is also, this life expectancy is an indicator that is also used to measure our development of a country. So another term we use, the gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio, it is related to education. Gross enrollment ratio, in the beginning it was used to be UNESCO, United Nations Scientific and Cultural and Educational Agency. They used to measure this gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio is how many people are studying, how many students are enrolled, got admission in schools, and at a different levels of education, grades, different grades, like primary, elementary, primary, then middle school, then higher secondary, and higher education. How many of the students in that age group are getting admission, are enrolled, are going through the education? That is also calculated. If the gross enrollment is larger, higher, then we can say that that's a good indicator for our development. Suppose 100 students are there in a primary age level, but only 30 students are getting enrolled, admitted in school, got admission in school, and 70% outside, they cannot attend the school. So our enrollment is less. So in this way, for primary, elementary, higher education, secondary, for at all levels, we can measure gross enrollment ratio. This is the latest study and gross enrollment ratio higher education. What's the age group? 18 between 18 and 23 years. That's the age group for our higher education. Some of them before that also. Some of the people, maybe some students, some people can even after 23 years, 24, 25, they also maybe go through, carry their higher education. All they are enrolled in gross enrollment ratio. Normally, but age group, official age group is 18 to 23. In that age group, how many students are enrolled? That is gross enrollment ratio. That same we can use for secondary education. For as far as higher education is concerned, now as on 2020, it is 27.4% of that age group. The population in that age group are getting higher education. Then we have when we go to higher secondary education, we see that age group between 14 and 16 years. That's the official age group for secondary education. How many students are getting enrolled and admitted? Look at 74%. It increased. 74% of that age group population and students are getting enrolled in higher secondary education level. Look at primary education. How many are enrolled? Gross enrollment ratio is 108, 108.6. Its gross enrollment is more than 100%, more than 100% gross enrollment ratio in primary education. In this, that is the reason, because sometimes although the official age group is between 8 and 11, but it can vary, because some people may in advance, they 1 year, 7 years, at 7 or 6 years they get admission. Before it was there, and sometimes it was in the same grade. Some of them fail, and some of them after 11 years or 12 years also they can join, they can continue there in their same class. All these students would be measured and counted in that gross enrollment ratio. That's why it goes beyond, after even above 100%. So in this way, gross enrollment ratio is also used to measure our economic development. Another indicator. Now look at another indicator. This indicator, Human Development Index, that is developed by United Nations Development Program. It looks not just income. Income is an important criteria for economic development, but here it is not income but quality of life. Your quality of life is taken into account. How it is taken into account? We use this method, Human Development Index. How the three aspects of our life are considered here. One is a healthy life, long and healthy life. Another is be knowledgeable, how knowledgeable you are, means education. Another is a decent standard of living, income level. We can say per capita income. These three. One is health. Second is education. Third one is standard of living. Standard of living. That means income, in this per capita income. These three things, it is calculated using a statistical method. Then they come to conclusion, they get result. That point, that what the result, they are used to measure, compare economic development of Human Development Index. That is called Human Development Index, that is used to measure economic development of countries. This another thing we need to be familiar with. Another last one is, not least, it is very important, purchasing power parity. What is that purchasing power parity theory? That is also widely used. It is developed a World Bank. Before, no, when we compare the economic development to countries, normally we use the exchange rate. Exchange rate means currency value. Dollar, you take an example of Indian American dollar and rupee. We can say, we know that what is the value of rupee against again, how much money you need to pay for $1, that you know that. That is exchange rate. That was the method they used to compare also economic development. You have that 70 rupees if you have suppose, but it is a limitations because the value of currency moment to moment, daily, day to day basis, it is changing. So therefore, people and World Bank and other international agencies think that this exchange rate we cannot use for measuring economic development because it is fluctuating, it is changing. Therefore, they use purchasing power parity. What's the purchasing? The real power of purchasing power of people. That we will consider. Means standard of living, not just currency value. Example, if we say that we will discuss the particularly, we need for each and every trend we need one class that we will take later. But here, purchasing for a simple example, purchasing exchange rate is, that is a comparison difference between the value of one currency against another. That is exchange rate. It was a limitation we cannot use for. If we use that. Uh, if we use that, then real economic development cannot be measured. Therefore, we use purchasing power parity. How we use example? Example, I will tell you that first of all, $1 is 70 rupees. Suppose in America, 1 liter Pepsi or Coke or Coca-Cola, you get from $5. Suppose it's not real and imaginary, hypothetical situation. I am saying, for 1 liter Pepsi in America, it costs $5. In the same way in India, if we use the exchange rate value, then what must be the corresponding the price of Pepsi in India? That means $5 into 70 rupees, 350 rupees. That's the exchange rate value. If we go with this exchange rate value, do we need 350 rupees to buy 1 liter Pepsi in India? No. So in this way, we don't need. But in America, you need to pay that much. That's the exchange rate value. Exchange rate value, it does not show the real picture of economic development. We don't need 350 rupees. Therefore, what we will use purchasing power. Really, how much you pay here? In America, $5 here, not 350 rupees, but maybe 150, maybe 70 rupees, maybe it could be 100 rupees. So look at the parity that is. In this way, we can compare. Our standard of living, it's very higher. If we compare the real purchasing power of the people, not just exchange rate. Exchange, if you compare that, we are fifth or sixth largest country in the world. But you purchasing power parity, we are third richest country in the world. The richest country in the world is America in exchange rate. When we calculate the value of currency. But if you look at purchasing power parity, it is China. China is the largest, richest country in the world. In exchange rate, it is America. Purchasing power parity, China is the richest country in the world. India's according to purchasing power parity theory, we use that, India become third largest country because we really measure the standard of living of people in both countries. How the economists and the scientists are economic science, social science are measuring? They collect a basket full of they decide take into account a number of products that is that is very important for you daily you are using that. Then they calculate the value of that, the price of that. The same quantity of same the product that in America and other country the people use, they also calculate the value and price of that basket of goods, means a number of goods. Then they compare. In this way, we can compare the economic development. That gets you a real picture of economic development far better than exchange rate. So purchasing power parity theory is also another tape, important tape used to measure economic development and compare economic development between countries. So these are the important terms we should be familiar with while we are discussing this lesson. That's why I went to three in note in a very short we discussed this one in detail. In higher classes, we are going to discuss one with all the various aspects and important points behind each day. So today, I hope that today you understood the terms and the introductory remarks about this lesson. In coming days, we will complete all the various points and concepts from this lesson. So go through the lesson, and if you have any doubt and any you need any clarification regarding any any points anytime, and you can contact me, and you can comment on also. Accordingly, I will respond to that. So thank you once again. See you again on next video.